back to Four Faces. Let's talk about that nonsense that happened in Ohio. That train derailment that released tons and tons of chemicals, man. It's a disaster. I'm telling you now, you should be worried. I mean, don't let no government agency tell you, oh, well, everything's gonna be okay. We test the air. It's perfectly fine. They said the same thing on 9/11. They said the same thing when the buildings collapsed. Oh yeah, the air is great. Come breathe it. Meanwhile, they find out that, oh, that wasn't true. There's still some problems there, right? And look what happened. They had to open up a special fund because people was getting asthma, cancer. You get the point. So the best thing you can do is test the air yourself. Now, I'm not gonna get into all the news coverage of the incident that happened in Ohio. You can always check that out and Google it and find out what's going on in the news. I'm talking about this from more of a health side, because I believe the media is doing you a disservice. Why? Why do I say that? Well, it's pretty obvious. They basically just regurgitating what the government tells them. Oh yeah, for example, they say, go use your vacuum cleaner to clean up all the dust because some of that dust might contain some of the chemicals. Oh yeah, use your vacuum cleaner. I don't think so. You should not be using your regular vacuum cleaner unless it have a HEPA filter, HEPA type of filter, right? And now that filter, what it does is that it prevents small particles from being re-released into the air. Your normal vacuum cleaner that does not have that type of filter, what's going to happen is that it's going to suck up that dust that may contain that chemical, but guess what? It's going to release it back into the air. So the notion that you can just take your normal day vacuum cleaner without that special type of filter is stupid. It makes no sense. But yet that's what they're saying. They say, oh yeah, so-called experts are saying use your vacuum cleaner. Like, are you serious? Now, just so some of you might know that I also have another channel, right? And that channel is called Consumer Labs. In that channel, we talk more about the in-depth scientific perspective of all these different types of things like chemistry, chemicals, devices. We do a review on that. But since this is Four Faces, we're going to keep things very simple. We're going to make it very, digestible. So let's begin with what should you do? So if you can't so-called trust the government, what can you do? Well, how about get the devices yourself to monitor your own air quality? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to tell you now, and all you, people out there who are scientists or chemists, and I know that gases can be absorbed pretty much by many, many things, almost anything, just about. It could be absorbed in your clothes. It could be absorbed in water. It could also obviously be inhaled. It could go into your lungs. I mean, it can cause all types of problems, respiratory problems, cancer, you name it. Now, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm not trying to do that. All I'm saying is the reality is they're not going to tell you everything because there's something called MSDS that the manufacturer has. And some of you guys know what I'm talking about when I say MSDS. And that just breaks down all the hazards and protections that you would need for that particular chemical. Sorry. With that said, I doubt they're going to give that information to the public. I doubt that very, very highly. You're probably not going to get that. So what could you do? Well, there's devices, like I said before. I have two devices I'm going to show you is to monitor what we call PM. PM is particulate matter. Now, we're talking about solid particulate matters, right? And what the problem is that they saying, I was reading on the news, they saying that, yeah, they're going to survey your air quality and, they're going to test that. But are they going to do a cleanup in your house? The answer is no. They're going to say, well, this such and such level is okay. But is it really okay? You can't say what level is okay because every level, keep this in mind, every level, when we talk about level, we're talking about toxicity levels are different for everybody. You can't say, well, for example, let me give you an example. Let's say, I don't know, this house here have a level 5, right? I'm just making up numbers, right? This house is level 5, which is basically, let's say that level 5 is acceptable level. Well, this other person might say, well, a level 7, sorry, is not acceptable. Why? Because they're more sensitive to it. See what I'm saying? So it's like just like allergies, right? Everybody have a different level in which they could sustain, and which they won't bother them, and which they won't affect them, which won't cause their immune system to react. So with that being said, I have 2 devices I'm going to show you. Now, I'm not being paid by any of these companies for any of these devices. I'm just going to say it right now. So this one here is from Tim Top. Now, it's a funny name. This is very good. It measures down to PMs of 2.5s, which is once again a particular matter. That is the solid matter that's possibly floating in the air in which you're breathing in right now. If you're in Ohio, right? It's tested, monitors it, and tell you what level you're at. Also have another one. This is from Atomo, something like that. And this company as well sells a device. This one's more portable. You clip it onto your belt, to your bag, and it's also will measure PM10 all the way down to PM 2.5 as well. Both of these devices also measures what we call VOC, volatile organic compounds. This is great. This is magnificent, right? And the advantage of the VOCs is that these are chemicals that can actually cause you harm, right? That cause you great harm, matter of fact. And it monitors the levels and tell you whether they're acceptable, not acceptable, too high. Basically gives you the whole data points about it, which is fantastic. So with that being said, these are some devices that you can use to help monitor your air quality. So what about gases? Well, there's a device for that. And guess what? I got one of those too. So with this device, it measures different types of gases. As you can see here, I got 4 separate sensors on here. So this can measure various gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen. You get the point. You can set the alarm level on this. It's very simple. It's not complicated. Set the alarm level, or you just leave it the way it is at the presets, which is supposedly at levels in which it alarm goes off when it's at dangerous highs. So very good, very effective. You don't have to get this one. You get many types of gas types of detectors to help you. Here, I should say on my other channel, Consumer Labs, we actually program various types of VOCs and gas detectors to determine what type of level we are at. We do an analysis with the information. But like I said, you don't need to do all that. Just buy one, a consumer version like this, and you're good to go. Now, with that being said, so now let's just summarize what we got so far, because there's a lot of things to digest here, right? Think about this. If you're living in a situation such as Ohio where a train derailment occurred, and now that derailment released a lot of dangerous chemicals in the air. It's everywhere. When you see black smoke, it's everywhere. That what you see in front of you, it's just the concentrated parts going up in there. But it's everywhere. Just keep that in mind. Even though you can't see it, it's everywhere. With that being said, now that this poisonous gas is in the air and it's traveling all over the place, because you got to remember, depending on the wind condition, the weather condition, it can go here, left, westward, northward. It all depends. You don't know. I don't know. Even the government can't really say for certain where it's went, because government can't track every single particle. That's just nonsense, right? So what can you do? The question was that. I said, well, you know what? Why don't we get devices, our own device, consumer device that we can buy that could really simplify and be able to check out various things, whether we talking about PMs, particular matter, which is solid matters, or gases with a gas detector. Let's find out where my air quality is. Let's find out what's really going on here. Because let me tell you something. Your nose tells the whole story in the end of the day. Think about this. If you could smell it, it's there. It's as simple as that. Don't let no one tell you anything different. If you smell gases or fumes or whatever it is in your house that's abnormal from what your house normally smells like, then that's it. It's in your house, period. They can't tell you isn't or isn't. That's just ridiculous. And I wish the media would talk more about that, but they're not going to talk about that. They're just going, like I said early in the program, They're just going to regurgitate what the government tells them. But if you smell gas and you smell things that are abnormal to your home, then it's still existing in your home. That means it's there. So what do you got to do in addition to these devices? You're going to have to do a full, total cleanup. A full cleanup. And here's my point on this. I think that the company that was transporting all these toxic materials through your state, through your counties, I think they should pay for a total cleanup to everybody's house. Why not? Why shouldn't they? They should pay for everyone's home that wants to be cleaned thoroughly, because they have the equipment, they have the proper equipment to do a thorough cleanup in your home. How about that one? Don't just come with a detector and tell me, oh, by the way, yeah, it's at acceptable level. I don't want to hear that. Nah, I want you to come and clean my whole house. That means the ceilings, the walls, the floors, the dishes, the blankets, the sheets, the clothes. Everything needs to be cleaned. That is how you really supposed to take this situation. If they really concerned, that means the government, the company, if they really concerned about your health, then they should do a full, total cleanup. That means, technically speaking, and they know, and you out there who's a chemist or into science, leave a comment below and tell me if I'm right or wrong. They really need to do a full cleanup. You have to. There's no other way around it. They do that. There's the sad thing about it. They would do that inside a government building. If they had a spill or any type of chemical being released, they would do a full, total cleanup. So here's the question. Aren't you worth a full, total cleanup? And you shouldn't have to pay for that. Why should you pay for something that they messed up? Who cares how it happened, right? They can go ahead and figure out why the derailment happened. In the meantime, I need you. This is me. I'm just saying. If I'm in Ohio or any other state that having these, by the way, it's not the only state that had a derailment with massive chemicals being released. I don't care which state you're in. You should be demanding that these companies, and from your government, yeah, go clean my house. Do a thorough job. I want everything clean. I want the whole thing clean. Because let me tell you something. At the end of the day, and this is the last thing I want to say. At the end of the day, you do not know what's going to really happen. You don't know how it's going to affect you, your household, your kids, or even your baby. You have no clue. You don't have no clue, and the government have no clue. And this is the sad thing, because just like the things that happen with the military, with the burn pits, where they burn all these items and stuff like that. You could go look that up, Google that. And what happened there was that they burned all these items, military equipment, to get rid of them. And it turned out that they were releasing a lot of toxicity. And these military workers, soldiers, wind up having various types of illnesses, all the way up to cancer. So who's to say? And this happens all over the world. It's not just, just Ohio. But this happens everywhere, whenever. And this I know that's the last thing I'm gonna say, but I'm trying to stress this. You don't know the results of anything until later on, right? There's this delay factor that's gonna happen, and you don't know how it's gonna affect you. It might be 4 years from now, 5 years from now, that might all of a sudden, oh my gosh, oh man, I never had this before, man. I got heart palpitations. Oh, where did that come from? Oh, I have asthma. Oh man, I'm having a respiratory problem. You don't know. You don't know. That's the sad part of it all. And then if it happens years later, you know what they're gonna tell you? That could have been done that could have been due to something else. Nah, that wasn't because of the train fire that we had that released all these hundreds of chemicals. Nah, and chemical reactions that occurred. Nah. That's probably due to something else you was doing. Maybe a nail polish maybe caused it. I mean, it's going to be that type of craziness. I say this again. People that's out there right now, if you're listening, leave a comment below. If you're in a situation where anything like this happens, especially, you have a train that's full of chemicals and all that stuff, right? Take the precaution. Get the detectors, right? Get your own consumer detectors. They have the equipment now that you can buy. Some of this stuff is very expensive. I'm just going to be honest with you. But you can't put a price on your life. So spend the $200-300 to buy these detectors because you're going to need it, right? And then after that, you're going to ask them. You need to ask the government to do a thorough cleaning. a thorough cleaning. They should do it. Even whether the government or the company pay the government or pay some private company, whatever it is, right? Like I said, but what you can do in the meantime is do not listen and use a regular vacuum cleaner, right, to pick up the dust, because the dust may contain some of the chemicals. Use a HEPA filter. Now, keep in mind, some of you might say, well, could I just wear a mask? I'm going to be honest with you, a mask, like a regular mask, is just not going to work because the particles are just too small and they'll pass right through the mask. Like really like nothing. Gas is going to pass through any mask that you could possibly have. Keep in mind it's gas. So, if the gas ain't going through, you're not breathing, right? It's as simple as that, right? If you have a mask without some type of assistant breathing apparatus, then you're just not going to be breathing, right? So a mask, if it's a gas, no regular mask, like dust mask, is gonna help you out. Even those the top masks out there, not gonna help you, right? So here's the thing. I know this is the last thing, but this is really the last thing. Unfortunately, like I said before, if you are using the detectors, and which I mentioned, some of them could be any company, and they are indicating very high levels or whatever type of gas, VOCs or PM2s or whatever it may be. They're indicating high levels, and of course, if you smelling it, it's there. That concept, if you smell it, it's there. There's really not much you can do to really remove it besides do a thorough cleanup. I mean, when I say cleanup, I mean like clean up the house, the dust and stuff like that, and maybe chemicals that might be in the room. But if the air quality outdoors are still at high levels or levels that are noticeable in your home, only real true solution for that is where they have a positive and negative air room, but that's that's too much. No one's going to pay for that. Basically, what that is, that's rooms that filter to the utmost and they have masks and never mind. That's the bottom line, is that there's really not much you can do but dissipation. That's really it. In other words, you're just gonna have to wait until it dissipates. And that's what they're really counting on. They're counting on for the quality of the air get better through time. And the only thing you can do is go somewhere for a while if you have the means to. But how many of us have the means to go to, live someplace else for a while the air quality improves? Not that many people have that capability. Right. Also, you gotta remember that even though your home might be clean, what about outside your home? You can still be bringing it into your house. It all depends at the end of the day on the level of chemicals that was being released and the duration of it. That is the two most significant things that matter. Unfortunately, also that will help will be the MSDS. That will also help because that will give you an idea on what type of chemicals that the manufacturer was using, was the safety factors that was involved, and any type of PPE mean protection equipment that will be suitable for something of that nature. With that being said, this is 4 Faces. I try not to be too technical. Like I said, we do most of that at the other channel, Consumer Labs. But here on 4 Faces, I hope what I said was helpful. Let me know. Leave a comment below. Like I said, always keep in mind your protecting of you, your family, your kids is really up to you. The government, no one else is going to really step in and go out their way. They'll go to a certain point, but then after that, it's up to you. With that being said, you know what? We'll talk.